Squaresoft was a company that knew how to make games, with classics under their belt like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy X, and all the ones before it, Super Mario RPG, Kingdom Hearts, and the list goes on. The company churned out masterpieces like no other company before it, and was giving Sony a way to compete with Nintendo in the late 90s. When Square merged with the company Enix to create the corporate entity that is Square-Enix today, the company still came out with good games, albeit less frequently, and most of those good games being outsourced to a third-party developer. For example, Nier Automata, developed by Platinum Games, published by Square-Enix. Just Cause 2, developed by Avalanche Studios. Star Ocean, by Tri-Ace, and the list goes on. The main difference between these two companies at the time seemed to be that Square mostly did all of its development in-house, while Enix outsourced much of its game development to third parties, with the only exception being the Final Fantasy series. However, the point of this video isn't to compare and contrast the two companies before the merge, nor to talk about the fall of Square-Enix. No, in this video, I'm going to tell you why I can no longer trust Square-Enix due to the company continually failing its most beloved and one of the few in-house video game series that it develops, Final Fantasy. First, let's talk about Final Fantasy XIII. Man, this game was bad. A completely linear experience from beginning to end, unlikable characters, and a restrictive combat system. Ugh, paradigm shifts were the most boring combat system these people could have ever come up with. These factors were all contributive to how bad this game turned out to be. Although the whole story about being l'Cie was actually quite interesting, I'll admit. Regardless of how the game turned out though, this game had blatant false advertising as to what content would be in it, and I'm sure quite a few people missed out on this trailer. See for yourselves. Okay, so seems pretty standard so far. Lots of cutscenes, pretty standard for your typical E3 trailer. Lightning shooting bad guys? Okay. Oh my, what is this menu? Are they seriously trying to portray that as gameplay? They literally put a battle HUD over this cutscene. They even actually flip through some of the menus to make it seem like they're doing something. I honestly don't understand how they weren't sued for this clip. The false advertising in that trailer was just over the top ridiculous. Combat was not like that at all. It was more like this. Yeah, just pretty much tap X to win. This was apparently shown at E3, by the way. You know, one of the biggest gaming shows of the year. So that's even more of a slap in the face that Square Enix actually got away with this. So, obviously, I got hyped up out of my mind to play this game after that trailer, and with the greatness of the previous entries in the series backing this game, I thought this game would be a masterpiece. Turns out I was dead wrong. Secondly, let's move on to Final Fantasy 15. Now, they pulled something very similar to Final Fantasy 13 here, and I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm referring to. I understand that they had a hectic development cycle, but the amount of gameplay shown that was straight up not included in the final game was number one, absurd, and number two, don't show us gameplay in the first place if it's not already in the game. Let's go ahead and play the clip I'm talking about. So what do you know, this is actually also an E3 2013 announcement trailer for Final Fantasy 15, and this footage currently being shown was all put in a movie instead of the actual video game itself. Let me just let you soak that in. Oh my god, this gameplay. Does this look amazing? It's almost like a CGI cutscene with a HUD overlay. Huh. Wonder where I've seen that before. Seriously, this trailer was the sole reason I wanted to get this game. The combat, the graphics, the spells, the enemies, the music, the story. All of it looked like no other Final Fantasy game I had ever seen before. My hype was through the roof, especially when Square-Enix announced the game as an entirely new mainline Final Fantasy game.
これが対をなす幻想。いや、世界は常に変化する。15番目だ。
And then it's like, oh, like this is gonna be the greatest freaking game you've ever played, and then the game comes out.
It's so heavy. Unbelievable.
None of what was shown in that E3 trailer was in the game. What came out instead was a mediocre experience at best, with a restrictive car driving mechanic that would have been best left out of the game entirely, as it just results in you having to sit there as Ignis drives you the entire way, since you can't actually do anything with the car, even if you drive it yourself. I'm getting off topic here, but are you guys seeing a pattern? I'm so tired of getting hyped up on a Final Fantasy game just to be incredibly underwhelmed, and I've completely lost faith in Square Enix's ability to make a good game as a result. Now, I don't think Final Fantasy 15 was a bad game at all, it's just that it had so much potential that was just squandered, and I'm honestly beginning to worry as to how Final Fantasy VII Remake will turn out, as the trailers do look amazing for that game, don't get me wrong, but I've learned my lesson at this point from being overly excited by a trailer alone. I will not be overly hyped for this next release just to be disappointed, especially with the episodic nature of Final Fantasy VII Remake's release. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice? Let's just say I hope Square Enix will be able to prove me wrong and release a spectacular game with at least a length of 30 hours minimum in the first episode alone. Give me something to bite into, Square Enix, because as of right now, I don't trust you in the slightest. What do you guys think of Square Enix? Do you trust them to be able to deliver on Final Fantasy VII Remake? What did you think of the footage shown at E3? Do you view Square Enix any differently now that you've watched this video? I'd love to hear you guys' responses, as that's what the comments below are for. As always, subscribe for more game analysis and discussion videos, and I will catch you all in the next one.